The winner above all winners.
Now, clearly, when you ask somebody to greet and they greet for that long, then you start worrying as a moderator what is going to happen when you ask them a substantive question. So, Patricia, I want to put you on the call that I am going to be interrupting.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes. And the other panelist I have is also not new on the panel, the Global Geostrategic Analyst. I think now we are going to do national geostrategic analysis. The election was for Uganda, not for the world. Daniel Rugarama. Daniel Rugarama also has worked in the Electoral Commission.
Oh, sure.
So, Daniel, the viewers would be happy to hear you greet them.
First of all, I would want to extend my salutations to my fellow panelists and to you, Comrade Waguma, and the management of Family TV, and to our esteemed viewers. When we are selected to come here, it is not that we are the best in terms of ideas, but it is God's grace. And we only come here to share our views, and also I hope the management picks the views of the viewers for better programming. I want to state that in the face of the reality that the turn-up, as per the statistics, general turn-up was half of the registered voters, around 11 million people, and we had 21.6 million people. And you can make a conclusion that that was low. And therefore, for you to have come up with this topic is not just timely, but also befitting.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Amen.
Now, a very happy Patricia Magara was thanking the people for changing things. But Patricia, the Central Region didn't go to vote. It had lower than the national average.
True.
So what are you congratulating yourselves about? You failed to go out to vote.
We did not fail. We did not fail. And generally speaking, we had a glitch in the BBVK machines, and so voting turned out late. Most people actually showed up very early in the morning. People were at their polling stations early enough, but most of these people could not wait because they have things to do and they had planned out their day, wake up, go poll, come back and carry on. So that period between actually, I think we started voting around 11 a.m. So generally speaking, people who came at the polling station around 7, 8 sharp, but 7:38, they had they could not wait that long. So they went back. Some of them didn't have the chance of returning. Those that had provided transport, you know, candidates that had provided transport for these voters ended up doing double work. Those who could afford double work, those who couldn't ended up losing out on this mass of people that were so eager to vote. So I do not want to say per se and strictly that the voter turnout was low, because people showed up, especially early morning hours. People showed up. The challenge of BVVK reduced the number of people that could actually remain on the polling station, wait that long, 1, 2, those that went, and then having to come back. So the challenge, you know, the challenge was all over the country, and that reduced our turnout. So then, of course, in the central, we had a few candidates that were, you know, coming from the central, and the expectation given a couple of hours before polling day was that, you know, there might be signs of insecurity. Some of them were announcing the fact that they are now rebels, they are going to do whatnot. So people were kind of anxious. Yes, but I also congratulate Uganda Police. They really, really outdid themselves this time. I congratulate UPDF. they were really on point, and violence was not, was not everywhere. Yes, there were a few instances of violence. I would not compare the violence of this election to the primary election of NRM, for example. You see, so I saw that levels of violence had really gone down. In my district, I do not remember seeing anything at all, actually, from Kampala up to Luwero. I don't remember seeing any or experiencing any particular incident. I'm excited. People showed up, people voted.
Farida, I would like to respectfully disagree with Patricia.
The statistics speak different. The presidential elections, which were supposed to be the ones where people are excited, in some of the districts in the central region were below 30%. Below
28 to be exact.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then the local governments ones, they were below 10%.
10%.
Below 10%. So a very enthusiastic Patricia, I am not sharing the enthusiasm. Farida, maybe I am off the mark. You were observing this.
No, you're actually right. I think something needs to be done with our election. But she's right on the high turnout in the morning. Yeah, there was really good turnout in the morning. But I think the tension that came with the BVVK machine, especially people who are not patient enough, the elite who had actually said, no, let me go and vote, when they see the tension and the exchange of words and the insults at the polling center, and they were not seeing anything coming through, so people decided to actually walk away. And most of them did not turn up to vote. But in any case, even if they had turned out, still the voter turnout was not going to be good enough like we had expected. Why? There are so many other factors that were not actually addressed before we went into this election. So people were like, we are going to have the more of the same. Because there are no other factors that actually indicated that we are going to have any slightly something different from what we have been actually having before. So those other voters who would be inquisitive enough to come to stand in the line and actually say maybe this time around I have to vote. I don't think those factors were there this time around. So even the message from the presidential candidates, the other candidates, the MPs, no one brought something new on board that would actually bring in competition, stiff competition and excitement. And like, no, maybe this time around, let's see what is going to happen. I need to go and vote. Maybe some competition between two sides, there was no. So people really saw it like the usual things that happen during elections. The only surprising, maybe it made it even worse when the BVVK machines failed to work. Because they're like, we expected these people. We actually have been telling them there is nothing that can work in this electoral process. So really, why did they even have to bother? So I felt so bad, someone who is always advocating for us participating in the elections, that we have not even been able to deliver something that can excite people, to actually, for us to have some people come to our board, our table, and then decide also, okay, this time around Farida and the rest, we are talking, okay, we are seeing some change, so we are going to participate. That lacked in this election still. And then also, we are also underestimating other factors that we assume that actually the voters are there and they are not coming out just to vote. So, for example, when you go back to my village, the whole house at home, we actually gave, someone is just renting. No one is there in the Tambala. We only have a tenant sleeping in that big house of my Hajj, my former late father. So we assume that people are actually there, the voters are there. No, a good number of people have actually gone abroad. They're in diaspora. Others are in prison. So you would see that if we find another way of actually bringing people on board, maybe comfortably, we introduce online voting, and also bring the people in diaspora. I'm telling you, next time I think, Daniel, I'm just going to to ask my friend, my comrade Daniel, to actually speak to Minister of Foreign Affairs and give us the numbers of people who are actually in diaspora. Maybe from there I would know that we have 5 million Ugandans who are 18 years and above, who are actually registered voters, and we are always neglecting them. So how can we bring them on board? And they are very eager because they make a lot of noise. Maybe they would also be part of the voting process. So if we bring them on board and we have maybe 3 million or 2 million, because conveniently, if we make life easy for them, they can vote. Apart from people here who want actually to be paid to go to a polling station, those will not actually ask for money. They will eagerly go to any polling station, any mission that is gazetted to actually vote. And then we would, but we don't just want to see numbers. We also want to see quality of the election. We have a quality election. What are those factors that actually help us to grade our election, that it is now substandard or standard election? Are we, for example, if we hear all the challenges in our elections, and then we look at the recommendations of even the political parties, the voters themselves, and then we see that there is something that government is working on in regard to addressing those challenges, maybe people would actually gain some confidence in the process, and then they come back on board. But we are going to see those numbers sink every day unless something is done.
Daniel, to the more academic things, when you look at the statistical distribution of voter turnout, some places are doing excellent in turnout, but those are places where President Museveni has support. If you look at the pattern, generally where he has high support, the turnout was. There were some allegations of other things that happened and some videos. I am not going to go there yet. I want to start with the protest element. Because on another platform, and part of it were together there, the argument was that where people felt that their support doesn't make any difference, it will be the same President Yoweri Museveni, candidate Yoweri Museveni handing over to President Yoweri Museveni. They didn't come to vote anyway. So it was their way of protesting or showing disillusionment.
There is that possibility, but allow me the latitude to submit as follows, that the message from the opposition to their potential voters was not that they do not turn up. No, it was that they should turn up in big numbers, because it was a carry-on of the previous election, where the president, for instance, of NUP political party was urging his people, or Ugandans for that matter, to register, have the national ID, make sure that they check in the voter register, update themselves, and be ready to come and chase away what, in his words, said was poor government. So therefore, I didn't get a message from any quarters to the effect that they should not come as a way of protesting. All the opposition parties, including the NRM, were that people should come in large numbers and show the support of their respective candidates, right from the presidency up to the lower levels. That didn't happen as expected is indicative of other things, such as what? One, that for instance, the respective parties in point NRM and NUP, which had their respective party registers as follows: NRM, about 20 million voters or supporters who are potential voters. The NUP, about 11, 10 point something. Add that one up on assumption that those who were in NUP register were not in NRM. There were no double crossing. would push the register to something like 30 million. What about other political parties? It comes something like maybe 32, 33. That makes a thinker get disturbed. In a population of close to 50 million people, granted that the youth probably are 70% of the population, or young people.
Yeah, it's actually not
Yeah,
the youth.
yeah, young people.
Young people.
Young
Also who
people.
are younger than youth.
Yes.
You include all of them.
Now, you can see that there is where either the people in statistics are falsifying information for purposes of political hype, or there is something much deeper that we should go ahead and analyze. For instance, when you look at the calendar, so many days for voting, you would expect that, for instance, for the presidency, which is combined with direct elected MPs and women, that very first day, which electoral commission combined, then the numbers should have been very high, but they are not. So the argument, which I have heard in some other forum, that it's because elections are spread over different groups, the lower government levels, the presidency, and probably special interest groups, is because like special interest groups, majority of them workers, youth, have got a different electorate altogether. So how would you now put them on the same day? There is a lot of thinking to be done around that. But the fact that even we had challenges of half of the registered voters according to the National Register of Electoral Commission, forget about the political parties now. National Register of Electoral Commission had 21.6 million voters, but half of those turned up. To make matters worse, as if that was not bad enough, 2.5 of the cast votes were invalid. Now, you would need to combine about 3 candidates at the presidential level to get the percentage of the invalid votes. Because so many candidates at the presidential level, even if you added them, they would not come to 2.4 that percent that was given attributed to the invalid votes. It means, therefore, in my thinking, that probably some of the things, and very quickly, because I cannot finish everything in the time you have allotted me, let me just point about 2, maybe 3 or 4, whatever. One is that probably we have got a problem with our registration. What do I mean? Voting is voluntary. If I don't vote, what will you do to me? Which offense have I committed? Zero. Yeah. I have not voted, I have not voted. Maybe, and this is a very big maybe, because some people will say you're infringing on our rights. Maybe I don't want to vote. But maybe, and some will have actually argue out there, including our viewers, and they entitled to that kind of argument, that why are you now proposing that we should register that people should vote, and if they don't vote, they would have committed a crime? After all, other jurisdictions don't do it, but those are other. We are talking here
About
as part of the proposal. Maybe there should be a proposal and a registration, subsequently probably registration to the effect that voting is mandatory. Maybe.
Then that means I will not go to register.
I'm now, you see now, this is what we are saying. That's where, in order to avoid that, therefore, that being a proposal, maybe it is a poor proposal. Where else do we go? Is where we go. That there has got to be effective civic education and effective voter education. Because...
But what does that mean?
I'm coming to this. In the absence of civic education, where somebody, a potential voter, is empowered to understand the power behind the vote, you will get a problem. That if you have succeeded in having him or her register, it will be another hurdle for you or for that particular voter to actually come and actualize the purpose for which he registered. That is voting. So, the empowerment at the level of civic education is very critical. 2, voter education. That the two, assuming that we had the 2.4 invalid votes reduced to 0.01%, where would we be? Therefore, Electoral Commission with the mandate of voter education should go ahead and do their job. Yes, they are already doing something. We are glad. But where there are gaps, I remember in class at one time, it was a geography paper in O level, where I got, it was a 82, but previously I had scored the same test, these sets, where they give you sets. I had scored the 91, and I was caned, but I was the best. Now the argument of my geography teacher was that, you see, you have now you have not progressed, you are going backwards. So it's not enough for you to argue that you are still the best. That shouldn't be the argument. Therefore, that Electoral Commission is doing a good job, considerably, given our circumstances, does not stop us from pointing out areas where they need improvement. And one of them is voter education.
Like you are doing a good job, but I'm about to tell you to wind up on that point.
so finally, Comrade Waguma, you realize, therefore, that apart from registration, apart from empowering people civically and also voter education, there is need for Electoral Commission to ensure that they do not demoralize the voters. Why do I say so? I want to join issues with my two sisters here, where they mentioned that people by 7, and that is by law, that by 7, if you have got about 10 people, commence. Open the box, commence. But by 11, and we were watching, by actually 10 something, as far as in Tungamo, materials which were in almost in a walkable distance or a drive distance had not reached the polling station. Meaning, forget about even the biometric machines or VV, whatever machines not working. Even the materials, voting materials had not yet reached the respective polling stations. Hence, demoralizing the voters, and that was against the rumor that some bad elements were planning something negative. If Electoral Commission can improve, do everything humanly possible to improve timely delivery of electoral materials, I have never had, in very limited cases, that you name, for instance, the candidates have started 3 hours late. That is, even as far as the remote areas, the papers will be delivered there. So what is so strange? Is it the issue of money, the budget, and the resources allocated to Electoral Commission that they are unable, or there are other reasons for which we should find a cure?
Patricia.
Yes, sir.
Again, we are in this debate of the Electoral Commission.
Yes, indeed.
Electoral Commission has paper mandate. It's a paper title. Electoral Commission doesn't have power. It also has above. and Electoral Commission. But we shall come to Electoral Commission. But first of all, Daniel emphasized the point of civic education. But that's not the role of the Electoral Commission.
No, that is human rights.
Absolutely.
That's a government body.
So why so if the people are not civically competent, what do you want the Electoral Commission to do? It's the Human Rights Commission.
it's not doing its job. And it has said on more than one occasion, it is because Parliament and the government are not giving them the money to do it. So we don't have a civically competent population. Simply the government is, for whatever reasons, not investing in there. So we have an election where people don't turn up.
Comrade Waguma, I will agree. I will not put up resistance on that note, not so much. But then going back to back in the day when I was educated, civic education was part of SST. You knew what to do. You knew what to do even before you started voting. We were prepared. We were very, very anxious to turn up and vote. I will never forget the first time I turned out to vote. It is right there in my mind. And I've taught my children, but they have also learned it from school. So this is primary. So what is so different about these Ugandans of today? Because we are in the same generation. We are in that generation of the numbers that we are now discussing, the statistics of the many, of the younger generation, because I don't think I have passed that threshold to cross into the old. So if we are still in the threshold of the young, in all honesty, this is something that I studied. And in my day, we didn't have the luxury of schools. Remember, the war had just ended. We just basically were going to church schools. The nearest church school, regardless of whether it was Catholic or Christian. So what I'm saying is, first and foremost, we know, because this is something that happens every 5 years, dear Ugandans, can you know and learn that every 5 years we must go to polls? You know it very well. Everybody knows it. It is now judicial notice. Everybody knows that every 5 years we must go to elections. Fine. The challenge would be, how many candidates, who are the candidates? That was lacking. But the fact that we had to vote, everybody knew. I concur with Farida that we need to expand, and avail other voting methods for special cases, maybe our brothers and sisters in diaspora, so that they can also, add a voice. But this business of people did not know. People were lazy. People showed up early. 1. 2, people, when we got these challenges at the polling station and had to go manual, not all of them came back. The other thing is, those that managed to come, and voting went on until about 5 o'clock. We did not close at 4 p.m., the normal closing time. You see? So people tried their best to show up. And remember, when we had those challenges, we also experienced tensions at every polling station. So which person would want to come back to the same tension they had left? Most of them would come, peep and go, you understand? We also had challenges that not all candidates, especially presidential, not all of them were represented. And you see POs or polling presiding officers needed to also verify. You see, so a lot happened on that day. I want to agree in bits, maybe 70%. I do not agree with you, but I agree with you, 30%, because it is judicial notice that we go to polls every 5 years. All Ugandans are notified. Schools are doing their best. Actually, Ministry of Education is doing its part. They go out, they teach our children to vote, how to vote, when to vote. They even care enough to give them time. Now, when I go to the local government elections, we experienced, in the presidential parliamentary elections, we experienced an exodus of people from the urban areas into the rural areas to go back home and vote. And I commend them for that, because they trekked distances. Now, this is not a distance you are going to trek every week. Because now after 1 week, we had to go back and vote for district and councillors, district councillors. Then special interest groups, they're in between. And then now we literally have a 10-day gap to the next polls. Never mind that in between there's special interest groups, you know, polling going on. So not many people, that exodus you see, the excitement of going to vote for presidential and parliamentary members of parliament, it's not the same excitement for, and it was also seen. Now, Electoral Commission does not request for these days to be published as public holidays. So how do I leave my job to go and vote? They gave us 2 voting days, 2 public holidays, and then now there are no public holidays. But then, of course, it's also a challenge. Who do you give and who do you not give? The time of voting is simply too...
Sister Patricia,
you know, it's
just an inquiry here.
Yes, sir.
Electoral Commission, has the Electoral Commission gotten powers to declare holidays?
It does not declare, but I
Maybe
haven't
government,
seen requests.
Oh,
But they
okay.
request, you know,
okay.
yeah. So on that note, I have not seen that communication that these are the days of polling. We would like this category of persons. When you look at local government is, you know, en masse. All of us should go and adult suffrage. Please, we are encouraged. We should encourage our people to go and study. The same way they gave children a break from school. We wanted to see this in our places of work. Just one day, go vote, come back. Or for those who have to go far away, go vote and return. You know, we want to see the same consistency in the time that's being given to the electorate to go and exercise their rights. So in that regard, I would like to actually see some changes. I would like to see government coming through. I would also like to see, you know, government funding these bodies, Human Rights Commission. I would like to see, you know, but then we cannot say now that the Electoral Commission is not funded. When you compare it to other, moreover, the mandate is for 5 years. So I think they are fully funded for something like this. They should just put more heart into it and educate our people.
Farida, you were directly involved in this. I remember that getting permission, official permission to go do your work and say ties was a hurdle. The Electoral Commission took a lot of time. The usual suspects in the NGO world who were doing this job were kept out. We understand that the security agencies didn't clear them. And so the other parties like you people, and we knew the Electoral Commission had a small budget. I am sure Garama later will have a comment on that for voter education. So lack of civic education, inadequate voter education, and from your experience, the timings even, the administrative roadblocks. Didn't this have an impact on the voter turnout?
It did. One, in 2016, we had we rolled out a voter education sensitization campaign called Topowa, and that was under SEDU that time. And we were given accreditation to do voter education way on time. We were able to fundraise, we were able to draw our messages, and we were able to move across the country. And we had enough time to think which message would actually bring momentum in the public for them to turn out. And when you compare the voter turnout of 2016 to 67, and then 2021 it went down. So it had slight impact. I would not say that we can attribute it a lot, because there are also other factors, like I said, but also it contributes a lot. If you have so many other factors come on board on time, and also allow everyone to do their work. Only that security had their own issues, and they had their own reasons. I don't know, but I'm told that they had fears that some organizations get money and fund political parties. Then some organizations also utilize that chance to get that money and also do their funny work. So they were screening. But if you are screening, don't take that long, because you have all the instruments to do the screening. By the time someone receives money from anywhere in the world, at least the thread you could see. So you cannot tell someone that you are taking 1 year to sieve or screen all these organizations. So the period they took was really long. So for me, that is where I had my problem. But I think the issue, we cannot attribute it only to these other organizations or these other factors. We need to change a lot in our electoral process. If we are saying that this time around, electoral commission, did you, apart from money that is got from from parliament or civil society organization that support you alone, the money that you have, how have you utilized it? How have you been able to at least bring in some new tactics to ensure that, apart from, for example, we are going to have polling on 15th, we are going to have presidential debates on 15th, yes, my presidential elections on 15th January on TV. That's it. Even when there's something that I witnessed during this observation, the presiding officers themselves also needed voter education.
That was also, yes, it was
Because,
something.
you
I
know-
agree. I agree.
So now whom do you
Explain that a little bit more.
The presiding officers had little knowledge about the exercise.
Some stations, yes.
You know,
That is an indictment, Comrade Baguma. That's an indictment on the Electoral Commission.
I am being very careful. That's why I said explain.
A very serious indictment from the observer.
For example, I have a clip where I saw someone seriously training biometric operators on polling day. On polling day, someone trying to, another presiding officer comes from his desk, comes to this other desk, and begins to train these other people. They are stuck, they can't start polling because they can't understand the biometric. Then you find some other people, they cannot even differentiate between an invalid vote and a valid vote.
Now, who can forgive you on that, really?
I looked at even the voters, the support, the agents, and the presiding officer. This is saying this is an invalid. Yet the chairman was very clear that if you see the intention of a voter, if someone ticks someone, for example, he has elected an MP and puts a ballot paper in the presidential, that cannot be an
Invalid vote.
You just have to arrange and take it to another box. Then two, these people who are using the biometric in this, they just concluded election of the LC3. Yes, this person is in the register. They actually scan the voter location slip. It says success. Okay, do you even have an ID? Yes, success. Okay, put your thumbprint. The biometric fails. So when it fails, say no, but we have nothing to do. We have to give this person a ballot paper because the person is in the register and even the machine has accepted the voter location slip and also the ID is recognized. So they give you the ballot papers proceed. When the person proceeds, at the end of the day when they are counting, I know these ones are rejected, these ones are invalid.
Why?
So because they said they did not pass through the machine. Since this person,
Which machine was declared invalid anyway?
So the machine, when the person put the thumbprint, it did not recognize that person. They did facial, still it refused. So they said, now what do we do? This person is in the register. He has the voter location slip which has been accepted. And also the ID has been accepted. Now let's go ahead and give this person the ballot papers. The person is given the ballot papers, he goes ahead and then makes her choice and puts the ballot papers in the box. At the end of the day, when they're counting, they are scanning. Since this person's thumbprint was not recognized, even those ballot papers were not scanned. So what happened? After counting, they count them. These ones are rejected because when they put the machine, still the machine rejects. It says rejected. So they put them aside, and then they will tell all the people who are gathered, these are invalids because the machine has rejected them. Now they put them aside, and they begin counting those that the machine has accepted. So, I had to understand them, because if someone goes to court and then they ask them, where is the results? Where are the results? Then they bring the machine. Still, if the numbers are not actually adding up, That's why I think those other guys left out was ballot papers. But the point I'm trying to make is that how did you sensitize, how did you train these people? Because they went into conducting an election, they have no idea what to do. As in, they are just thinking, this, I think we can do this.
They improvised on
they are
the job.
improvising on the job. Then one was like, no, but we know this person votes from here, but the machine has rejected, and we say, and they told us that we have to use the machine. So what do? We have just this person away, because they did not give us a solution. You know, so how do you prepare the team that you are going to deploy in the field? First of all, they should be sensitized. They should understand the electoral process, so they are able to guide the voters who are coming. But now, especially in some instances, you would see even the agents advising the presiding officers. So what would I call this whole process?
We are about to go for a break, but before we go for that break, Daniel, for some of us, we don't like going to watch football matches whose results we already know. You know, Team Baguma is playing with Team Rugarama, but you know that Team Rugarama is going to win the match anyway. So why should I go to the pitch? And this election, and we had all the voices speaking, we have had the candidates speaking, we have had observers, I mean analysts, that whether you get whatever votes or not, the person who will be president we know. So probably that also, people don't have any reason to go. The outcome is already known.
Actually, recently, not long ago, our president, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and the chairman of NRM, was looking for the balance of his votes. He says his people didn't come to vote, and he put blame to some body, some electoral commission and some other characters. Because in his opinion, and he could be right, who knows, in his opinion, the people who never turned up, had they turned up, they would have voted him. It's a huge debate.
Of course.
Now, my take there is that your very statement itself actually is one of the reasons as to why we had low turn-up. Why do I say so? This feeling that so-and-so is going to win anyway is very wrong. Because it makes one sit back and say, whether I cast my vote or not, I know that the incumbent, because of the incumbency, is actually going to win. No. We have had multiple examples on the African continent. The case of Zambia, for instance, the current president was in opposition, stood about 3 times until he finally came through. Had his supporters resigned and said, we are not going to manage, it would have been a disaster. We would not be having an opposition forming government now in Zambia. In South Africa, the electorate came, the DA voters came, and they forced ANC, an original and revolutionary party, to go into a political coalition. In Malawi, I can go on and on and on and on. People just don't, in Kenya it has been the case. People simply don't want to go into some of these things, get together facts to help them. The truth of the matter is that itself, that feeling, and it is not just limited to a few people, no, it's in majority of the people, especially the group that at one time retired Colonel Dr. Chiza Besigye was referring to as the elites. He said, I am very disappointed with elites. They are the most useless people. Those are not my words. That's what he was saying. He included me there as well.
Even himself.
Yes. So, I think his frustration were that we simply speak a lot of English, we behave as if this world is not ours, we are living in a different world altogether, and we end up messing up
And
the whole
want
thing.
the benefits.
You see?
the
So,
world.
therefore, that feeling is wrong, and it was one of the reasons, and it has been actually one of the reasons for a number of, because we are now in the seventh time, at least for NRM, as to why we had low turn-up. I want us to include this, that there is such a thing in economics as return on investment. Now, when you translate it to politics, return on investment would now equate to return. When I go into voting in the elections and we send our representatives to parliament, for instance, or even presidency sometimes, or even at the lower levels, because that is where the cooking actually takes place. People may not know. Councillors at the district level, this is where things happen. The question has always been, we send parliamentarians to parliament only to apportion for themselves huge allowances and salaries. They don't do anything for us. I am not going to go and vote them. They are all the same. Now, that attitude contributed, and if not worked on, because they are looking at politics as a transaction, an economic activity, not a service. It restrains so many people from turning up to vote, because the argument is it me who is going to eat? Whoever is interested, you go and vote your people to go and eat. They are not going to help us at all. Finally, it has been a problem. So the return on investment I'm talking about is that me as a voter, when I vote you, what do I benefit? How do you register? And of course, you know that the parliamentarians have also been given extra duties by us, the voters, simply because the voters have not been sensitized of the duties of a registrator.
Yeah, they have to provide the ambulance.
So, you see, thank you very much.
School fees.
Ambulances, you have to come and bury, you have to,
You have to be chief mourners.
and that is why you find that administration rates, those who come back to parliament are very few. They bring other people simply because there is a feeling that let us send these other ones also to go there and eat after all. So therefore, in that respect, there has also been this feeling, and it happened here, I think more recently, where this time around it was worked on. I had my sister Patricia talk about it so eloquently, and Farida, and I agree that this time around we have had a very serious caution. You know, when the forces have really restrained themselves, they did a very good job.
Wow.
I really would want to also to add my voice to commend them for a job well done. Be it police, be it army, they did a very good job. Of course, there were some other few elements here and there, but they didn't, in my opinion, really impact negatively on the exercise. However, in the past, like you remember the elections of 2021 and around 2026, there was a lot of that, the militarization. 2016. So because of that, a good number of voters also don't turn up, because there is a feeling that now if I die, I would have died for what? So that attitude of you go. People look themselves in houses and they say, let me watch on television. After all, they will announce.
Thank you. So we have to go for a break. You want to say something?
Yes. I think I really agree with Dr. Daniel that really we need to do something. One, in 2021, no registered high number of MPs Even I have never seen a political party actually raise that number over
First time.
first time by
time,
57. And if they could also organize themselves, so I think for me, I don't believe in this thing that after all they are going to announce him. If you organize yourselves, you can do something, and you give your supporters hope. Just like Raila Odinga. Raila did not give up until actually he passed on. But you see, we could bring more strategies, more ideas, and then the supporters would actually come out in large numbers to vote.
We have to go for a break. We have to make some money because the adverts have to run. Yes, yeah. Otherwise the TV will not be here. But thank you so much for the analysis. Now, when we come back, so we have seen the reasons. There's so many reasons why people turned up or did not turn up. But now, what are the implications for those figures that we see? We also need to analyze them. So don't go away. When you come back, we'll talk about the implications of the turnout of the voters, law in some of the cases, and we see then what do we do going forward. Don't go away.
and thank you for staying with us. It's the Ballot 2026, Church of Uganda Family TV, and we are talking about the ballot of this year, the elections of this year. And we've been talking about the reasons why the turnout was not so high, actually very low in some places, and that's for parliamentary and presidential, but even much, much lower for the local government elections that have been happening. In studio, to remind you, I have Farida Rure. Farida has been observing the elections, was accredited to do sensitization. I have Patricia. Patricia is legal officer for the National Water, but she's a voter and an activist for this. And then Daniel Rugarama. Daniel Rugarama is a Pan-Africanist, lawyer, but has also worked in elections. My name is Baguma Tinkasimba Richard, your host. Now, we are going to go to, we see the numbers. In some regions very low, in some regions high, but on average, just about half of the people turned out to vote, those who are registered, who are eligible. Farida, first with you. Now that only half of the people come out, what really does this mean for us? This is supposed to be representation, representative politics, representative democracy. So if people don't come out, is it because they feel that they are already adequately represented? So if they feel so, there is no problem with the representation, no impact, no implication, no impact. Yeah, or what is the implication here?
I think the implication is there, and we are starting to feel it. I think before we have not been feeling it, but when the numbers go down, we start feeling the implication of what we have not been able to respond to. I feel I was eagerly looking at the president when he was so bitter, saying that they rigged my votes, 2.7 million votes. Those votes, these guys cheated me. So he was very, very interested in finding a solution to that problem. I wish he uses the same mechanism to find a solution to the whole process. Because if he lets him, His Excellency, please invite some people who are not actually maybe election managers, and then these others who have been participating in this election, and then we sit and find a solution to this problem. Because that's why we see these BVVK machines. I think it was the idea of the president that we should have the BVVK machine scan and avoid and weed away multiple voting and address that problem, because they cheated me 2.7 million votes. Those are very actually those are many. It is exactly they could add numbers to his to his figures, but His Excellency is not looking at the invalid votes, which are even higher than the participants, the presidential participants who actually went around the whole country to look for votes, and then the invalids register a high turnout. So we really, and then the resignation mode of people not finding that the election is really something big to actually talk about or to participate in. We need to find a solution to this. One of the solutions that I am actually advocating for, let's reduce the allowances in Parliament. Let us have civil servants in Parliament. Then we shall see how people will actually put in more money in this election. How would people fight to actually rig the election?
No, but Farid, how are you going to do that? Parliament makes their own rules. They eliminate themselves. What are you proposing? How are they going to do it?
If there is a political will, and the president is in for it, we can actually have it.
They will censure him.
They cannot censure beyond which. Let's reduce
very
the.
Interesting. Yes, Farida,
Exactly.
go ahead.
We cannot go ahead with such an amorphous thing that we have even failed to understand where we are going. Let us see, we all know that if they reduce the allowances, because one MP is given 300 million, 250 million to buy cars, also to buy suits. I know you are dressing up an MP 75 million. Then you give this person medical. Really? Well, this person is going to invest. He knows that I am going to get over maybe 950 million. So I can actually invest 300 to mess up the whole process. and then I get into parliament. But if you know that there is only 20 million in parliament, let's see how people will go for a do or die in this process. Trying to measure, I quietly stood at the Tari Center, at the district Tari Center. I looked at how people were struggling to hide their forms. I felt sorry for this country. You know, fighting, holding on to a dear form, a councillor.
Which district is this, if I may?
This is Central
Kampala.
People were there crying because someone has messed up with a dear form. Really?
And some DRA forms were even hijacked. They would hijack you and take them.
Then I had one lady
Then
say,
they wait for you.
you
What are you
know,
going to
give
take
my
to court?
dear form, give them to this person, and make sure you give them to the other person such that they don't see whom you are giving. You know, these are just councillors.
Yeah.
So how do we have a smooth, like what we had with the workers? Like you have nothing, you cannot influence anything apart from maybe you buy your delegates, you bribe your delegates. But at the point of conducting the election, receiving DRA forms, it was all smooth. But you see people fighting for a position, a councillor election, a position that, you know, someone has to put in money, some has to, you know. And then the Electoral Commission took almost 2 days to announce a councillor. Bernard, 2 days. And it took us 2 days to announce the president. All results were collected in the 146 districts. We had the returning officer, the chairman of the Electoral Commission, announce the president. It is so frustrating that at the district, Kampala district, you cannot announce a councillor, a Lord Mayor. You take 2 days correcting DRA form.
She's frustrated.
It's frustrated.
It
Yes, sir.
happens.
We've seen the turnout
Yes.
of voters. We've discussed the reasons that influenced that turnout. But this kind of turnout, what implications does it have for us, for the nation, for governance, for democracy, for the next 5 or more years?
Progressively, it is not a story that you want to tell your children that, please, you see, this is, you know, we everything is progressing, but in reverse form, whatever that means.
Retrogression.
Yes, but you see, you are moving forward. Literally, you are moving forward, because whether or not you vote, the world will continue. But there are so many things that happen in this government. Whether or not you go to school, someone will graduate. A lot of people abuse UPE, USE. Government programs are shunned upon. But there are people who testify that they have benefited 100%. So my voice will completely go back to that same Ugandan. Come out and vote.
Why?
Why is a villager interested in voting more than you?
But why?
Because you see,
So what
even the turn up,
implications does it have for me?
Comrade Waguma, turn up in urban areas was kind of low.
It was.
But then what is so special about the urban that is not in the village? People in the village turned up en masse. Now, as you said, in some places it was registered, in others it wasn't. So I'm trying to say that some people, in fact, thank you, Comrade Rugarama, for using the elite, for quoting Chizabesije, retired Colonel. Sincerely speaking, these urban people need to rethink their position. The elites need to rethink their position. We are here and none of us is a peasant, so to speak. We are all in the class of elites. We need to speak to our people. We need to educate them. We need to actually purposefully educate
I
them.
agree with you on that point.
So you can't say that now.
But what is the implication? I don't come to vote?
Yeah, you don't come to vote.
Life
Government,
goes on.
life goes on. Parliament is going. Now we are going into speakership. You see, a lot is going to continue. It is water under the bridge. So for that person who refuses to vote, government will continue. Yes, you are not counted, but government will continue, and it will not stop simply because you chose not to exercise your right. In all honesty, government will continue. So to say that there will be such an impact that because you don't get to a certain number of turn up, so people, therefore that election is cancelled, it is null and void because the turn up did not, you didn't get enough quorum to count, to qualify that vote or the polling as you know, no, as legal. It is legal, people will come until that law is amended to actually say that we should vote twice. When the voter turn-up is low, then this. The other reason I've noticed is that please, politicians, stop giving us voters money to go. Transport. What is this business of transport? So actually, one of the reasons people did not turn up to vote is because of transport. They are too important to vote. Do you see how backward our minds are? One person is driving from Kampala to go to Ruchiga and vote. Another one in Kampala who sleeps at the polling station wants transport from their home. I don't even think that qualifies as transport, but they want it. That 1,000, 2,000 on a border to go and vote. What level of laziness is this?
Exactly.
That is laziness.
In fact, when I was observing the
absolute
local
laziness, nothing is going to happen. You did not vote. Government, meanwhile, is going on. What kills me now, for the love of God, is now the noise. Those ones who do not vote, who didn't vote, they are making so much noise. You want to tell them, please shut up. You refuse to go and vote. Who are you? Even if I had voted, still the outcome. But you should show up and be counted. Then you can have an argument. So I can say, Comrade Baguma, that your panel is both elite and responsible. Because not to vote is very irresponsible. It is very irresponsible. So now each one of us went and voted, including yourself. We have a right to speak because we exercised that right. But now you imagine, what right would you have would I have to appear on your show when I didn't vote?
Yeah, but we need.
I would have to come here
We need those
and lie.
to vote because we have to balance these panels.
Yes, indeed.
We
But
also have to know.
yeah, but I wouldn't have the right to speak positively about the voting.
50% that didn't come. Because 50% cannot, by any measure, be called insignificant.
It cannot be called, but also
So when you invest, when you invite to the table 100 people, and on that table 50 chairs are empty, that is serious.
Comrade Baguma, you are looking at a population of 50 million.
But I'm looking at voters.
No, yeah, but we have a population. 70%, or so to speak, is a voting population of young ones. The other ones are somehow older, isn't it? Now, why is it that at the registration of these voters, these people are not even reflected? So I think that we should rethink this question of the numbers that have come to vote. Nothing is going to happen. The government is going to continue as it is. It will still make the same laws and blah, blah, blah. But the onus is on you. If you ever want to see government change, if you ever want change in your life, if you ever want your voice to be heard, come out and vote.
Thank you.
In all honesty.
You said that I'm going to Daniel, yes, but you said that when you were observing.
I was observing and in Luzira, that side, because I was driving that side of Luzira, observing that area. And then I met a young lady, not too young, but she had shifted. She was renting a house in Luzira. Then she shifted to some other place where I think she had gone to the other side of Natete, that side.
Which many of us tenants will do
so,
in a span of 5 years.
Exactly. So on the election day, someone told me, mami, that lady, kale yasenguka naye akomyewo kulonda. You know? And you would see that she has no even, because this is local government, you would not actually think that maybe it is area member of parliament and she has been bribed. This is just local government. And that election that had low voter turnout. So I felt so happy that someone actually took it upon herself to come from wherever she went and actually came back to actually cast a vote.
Daniel,
so
President Museveni said in his acceptance speech that he is going to invest, because if I say this must be studied, half the people not coming. He said we are going to invest in finding out why these people did not come. So from your side, it means it has implications. Why, otherwise, why would we care? But what are these implications?
Serious implications, Comrade Oguma and our dear viewers, because these are the implications. That this is not adequate voice of the Ugandans. That not adequate in the sense that, first of all, the register itself didn't contain the people who were actually supposed to be there. You know that a number of people who at the time we voted, there were 18 plus so many months, and they were not featuring on the register. They are in millions. Those ones who were at school. Now, on top of that, you cannot say that the cleaning or the register being cleaned up, that exercise was 100%. It was not. And of course, I would be asking for too much if I said it has got to be 100%. No. So therefore, even then, after the filtering, to have half of the 21.6 not appearing is a very serious statement. And because of the factors which we have listed and others that we have not listed down here, that they didn't appear, the implications are that you will always have those representatives who are not going to have the full mandate, so to say, of the people. The people who would be back in their homes and have this feeling of, I don't care about that MP.
Or you're Sam Rwanda.
Yeah. This is not me. I didn't even participate in their exercise. And it will not be one voice, it will not be two voices.
Sorry to cut you short.
No, it's okay.
Many came
Yes.
to vote for His Excellency the President.
And then they go back.
And then they would go back, they shunned the parliamentary election.
That
They
is very
voted for,
serious.
yes.
Not knowing that the president works with people. Actually, these other representatives are the ones that feed the president. So at the end of the day, the other implication is that we end up not getting quality. I'm sorry, because you see, we keep apologizing for some of these things. We cannot turn ourselves into masters. My other colleague, Comrade Medard Segona, Comrade Matthias Mpuga, Comrade, at one time it was the MP for Kagoma, Dr. Frank Anawiso. I remember Comrade Ekure Park should be the late or so. They used to have this saying that I don't have what else to call something that is not what it is supposed to be, apart from calling it by its true name, that it is not what it is or what it appears to be. Now, in that case, somebody who does not give adequate representation, does not do his or her work adequately, be it in parliament, be it in council, at local level, really, you cannot now pretend to sugarcoat and say they are actually doing work. Why do I say so? We have got a number of districts, for instance. Because of the poor representation they send, they end up taking the money back to the consolidated fund. If you can get to know how much money from, by then it was Keith Mahakanzi, he would tell you how much money, which is sent to the local government for utilization, but because of the inadequate debating and apportioning capacities of the councillors, they end up fighting and the projects don't take off at the local levels. Why? simply because the councillors have wasted a lot of time in debating and they want their allowances and they don't want to put certain money because they fall in certain sub-counties and they don't to be done in other sub-counties, and because the financial year lapses, money must be brought back to the consolidated fund. These are the things you asked me for the implications, and I must give them to you. Here in Parliament, no, it was my teacher. We used to call him Musomesa. Nsibambe. Honorable Nsibambe. He taught me sale of goods law. He was recently asked, and he said, majority of those that have gone to Parliament, especially from Buganda, these are not my words, he's the one who is on record. You can even check TikTok, where, all platforms, that they do not even qualify to be councillors at sub-county. He said it.
He was on radio
from opposition.
As I was driving here.
Yes.
He was on one of the radio stations.
Saying the same.
Clearly accelerating those
I will not, I hope nobody is going to find me on the streets and throw a stone at me because I've just repeated what my teacher said. Now, if we get that quality of people who are not going to look at the reports, study them very well, and get the relevant laws for us. If the legislation is poor, policy is going to be poor. What will the executive be implementing? So the executive will become dictatorial, doing their own things because they have got nothing that is being churned out from the legislative arm. So at the end of the day, these are the implications that you were asking me about. So therefore, at the end of the day, we are going to have our loved party, the Revolutionary Party, NRM, not progressing to a point where we wanted it. We want was it the 6th Parliament? Where we had the likes of Honorable Eric Arhanga, the likes of Honorable Miriam Matembe, Winnie Byanyuma, Ekure Park, Frank Anabwiso of Kagoma. You know, I can go on and on and on and on and on.
Miriam Matembe.
The Miriam Matembes. But I'm not saying that even in this recent parliament we didn't have good people. They were there and we would see them. You see? But to increasingly have the population complain that the quality of our legislators, be it at the district or parliamentary level, is wanting, and also that being contributed to by what we have just been talking about here, that the elites, we don't even show up. But even those who show up, by the way, the masses, because of low levels of civic empowerment, they will shun you. You don't come to Bari. You don't attend parties. You are not part of us. We are not going to send you to Parliament. You can see the dichotomy. These things don't, the purpose for which, the reasons for which they are denying you votes is not related to the duties of an MP or even a councillor, but they will deny you nevertheless.
However, returning on the side of the people, my comrade, there are things that happen in Parliament that embarrass us as a nation. You cannot wake up and there is filibustering in Parliament, and a voter there in the village
is
looking at you fighting and making a nuisance of yourself because you are of a certain party. Sincerely speaking, it demoralizes. Another thing, and Honorable Semujunganda brought it out so well. How is it possible that on the day, because you see UBC airs this
they have a partnership.
Yes,
they have a partnership.
So now you have put your time aside. You say, today I'm going to watch Happy Birthday to you. What is that nonsense?
Oh, information.
So you want us to now go and be happy about it?
Information accepted.
No.
Now, Comrade Waguma, I want to conclude on this.
Yes.
Therefore, the implication, and I thank my sister Patricia for bringing those two highlights. But you see, as we talk about the implications, we should also remember that maybe, because there has been some argument in the circles, in the community, that the political and the civic spaces are shrinking. There is, for instance, that if there is an argument that the Human Rights Commission empowered to do civic education that is not doing the work, partly because it is not financially empowered. And in a majority of the other jurisdictions, they will have the likes of private partners like Ushaidi of my sister Farida to go and carry out that kind of duty. But because of the problems which especially the developing democracies in Africa are experiencing, that those are vehicles. I'm not saying the organization of Ushaidi is one of them. It has been seriously elevated, I want to believe. So the problem we have had is that some of these NGOs, which the late Robert Mugabe was complaining about in his country, Zimbabwe, which have turned themselves into alternative governments, instead of doing civic empowerment, they go into political campaigns. And they end up wanting to reorient the population. Including, by the way, what my colleagues talked about here, the element of facilitation. The NGO world had created a dilemma that instead of self-help, which our community used to have, they would clean their own roads, dig their own pit latrines, build sometimes their own schools. These NGOs, when they came, they started doing all of those. And the people who would come to attend those meetings, they would be given allowances. So the element making our people listen, it is very strategic. You need extra glasses to see the long-term impact of some of these things. So revolutionary governments like NRM, with a few who are left in top echelons, who can read through between the lines, dot the I's and cross the T's, they will say, no, we no longer want these NGOs. But the NGOs...
You are diverting me.
No.
From my implications.
I wanted to give you this background because I had given you enough of the implications. Yes. So I wanted to give you this background. Yes, I wanted to give you this background for you to see that even when because you see the implication there is that when you shrink civic space, then you will not have impactful civic education. And that will lead to the low voter turnout. They are interrelated. So finally, maybe to tell you that this also speaks to lack of patriotism or very low levels of patriotism. To have low turnout of voters is symptomatic of low levels of patriotism. And this means that the people may not necessarily be unpatriotic, but simply because the government is non-responsive. Is non-responsive because there are very small things. Look at the rate of saving accident victims, for instance. How does government respond to saving accident victims? We had a problem here, accident which happened it was in Rwanda. Rwanda, a very small country, sent helicopters to evacuate their own people and treat them. When they reach some of these things in hospitals, do they find medical staff and medicines? How is the state of our roads? These are some of the things which our own government should endeavor, and I believe now that we have given a fresh mandate to the president in order for us to reduce on debating about the implications of the low turnout. We should now task our president and the people he's going to work with to ensure that we become extremely responsive, and that is the cardinal principle upon which NRM was established.
Farid, the question of civic space. My background and work has been largely media, and civil society. I worked for government and international organizations, fine. Some of us think that beyond the work that civil society does to quote make people raise quote unquote. So it's also another debate. Government actually does the same. Government distributes money. Members of parliament and all politicians distribute money. So people reach the point of saying, if I'm going to vote for you, give me transport. This is what you have made me use to do. This is not a civil society. But also that because the government has spent so long in power without changing, it has actually fears independent voices. So it keeps cramping. That when you want to have people go do voter education, not civic education, you spend 1 year that an intelligence, because it's intelligence which vets them, that intelligence spends 1 year. The real reason is not that they are vetting Farid. What are they vetting about Farida that they don't know? They are just making sure that Farida doesn't go to meet the population. Because they fear that Farida is going to talk about their excesses, their corruption, is going to expose, and they will have trouble during the elections. So this shrinking civic space is not just because the NGOs are bad, it's because the government people themselves are doing excesses. They are looting, there is impunity, they are not delivering, the medicines are not there, they are ghost schools and ghost students, and these are real. So civic space, how does government with a new mandate now, 71% of the president, go about allowing civic space while minimizing the infiltration that Rugarama is talking about?
I think first of all, we have to go back and stick to what we believe in and why we are. For example, if I got accreditation, if I got the permit, and under my permit, I stated it very well that I am going to do voter education, election observation, I should stick to that. Because most of us have also stepped over our boundaries.
True.
So if you know that you registered to do voter education, and then government hears Farida now speaking about corruption, and then security matters, you are creating a safe landing for government, and at the end of that day, they will have reasons to explain why they are clamping down NGOs. So I have seen this, I have experienced this, and that is the truth. And it's not only with NGOs. One time in 2016, yes, we had an arrangement between opposition and also civil society organizations. And we agreed. I was with Ambassador Ola Rotunu, Ambassador Aliwa, General Gisha Muntu, Kano Besije, and some guys from UPC, from DP, and they called civil society to, with Bishop Zach Nirinjie. So we had to form a team, but the focus was to sensitize, to advocate for electoral reforms. And all of us were supposed to speak the same language, electoral reforms. So the role of civil society was to book space for the opposition to speak a different forum, platforms. So what happened when we got to, for example, Iganga, and then we have secured security permission, we have secured the venue, and then these people are supposed to come and speak. So all these people, all the politicians that we had traveled with, they started saying, "Seven again, seven moving you."
But also, let me ask my sister, this organization, why is it that it was engaging only opposition? NRM is not a party.
No, even NRM was supposed to be part of it, but they didn't turn up. They did
For your
have
engagement.
Yeah, for that for that specific, because we're supposed to advocate for electoral reforms. Like, we needed to get the voice of the country. So people diverted from that voice. And then what came next? Security started actually beating up supporters and dispersing the crowd. And that is the time when they actually security held Bishop Zaki's trouser like this, so you remember. So I think we have to go back. If I'm saying that Parliament should do ABCD, even civil society should do ABCD. Let's stick to our lane, and then we start from there to actually demand for what is right. And if they don't listen to us, they don't have any other reason to actually blame or to shrink the space. Maybe now we would actually refer to them as authorities or dictators, and also maybe, and still the society will be able to judge who is right, who is wrong. But before, I actually wanted to bring out the issue of us advocating. What is the implication? I was on BB, I was on one of the TV stations on election day, polling day, 15th January, and these people invited me for a very long conversation from 11 to 4. Then at around, I warned them that I have not yet voted. I have to go out and vote also. So they said, no, Farida, it's okay. But I think we shall raise you by around 3 p.m. So I told them, okay, exactly at 3 p.m. I have to leave the studio, go and then I have to go and vote. I said, no, but time has, why do you have to go and vote? I said, I am one person who is advocating for low turnout. If I also contribute to that, what would be that? So if I am saying that we should have high voter turnout, and myself, I sit in the studio, well knowing that I can actually excuse myself and go and vote and then come back. But also we have so many other people in that category. For example, the security. I don't know the total number of security. We don't have a minor in the security institutions. We all have 18 and above. All those people are voters. They're on the register. But they don't participate on polling day. Why? Because security deploys them differently. Well knowing that where they have been deployed, they will not be able to vote. Then come to the journalists. They also pretend that we are going to cover the story. We are covering, we cannot vote. And when their issues are that they begin complaining. You cannot even go to someone and maybe any area member of parliament because you did not vote. You are just busy actually getting what? Stories. But you could actually excuse yourself and say, maybe I'm going to get the stories where I vote from, or I'm going to vote very early in the morning, then I proceed to get what? Stories for that day. So, and then the nurses, people on duty. Even those people who are in hospitals, in Kenya here, and also I think in Ghana, there is that provision where election officials go to hospitals and have those people vote.
Special categories.
Special categories.
They vote before.
They vote before.
That's important.
And also they are not denied their right to vote, to vote. So, when there is a lot.
We stripped it by the way.
There is a lot in this election, in this electoral process of Uganda. And I think if the president can come up with a special commission to handle even these MPs who suffer the same instances that we have gone through a lot. I was able to be announced because of ABCD, but they wouldn't announce me. When he goes there, he puts on a suit, he's comfortable eating, getting allowances, and he will never speak about electoral reforms. He will never speak about issues to do with cleaning the whole process. And then when you look at the Electoral Commission also, how can you actually announce the whole country? We do not know who is dead, who is alive, who is where. You just announce that we have 21 million voters. At the end of the day, we have 10 million. When you are cleaning the register, how many did you remove? How many dead people did you remove from the register? This country.
It is amazing. Now,
My sister, I'm sorry you are frustrated.
No, I'm talking about civic space. Patricia,
Yes.
you seem to say that because you are agreeing that NGOs should shut up about the massive corruption, and this massive corruption I'm talking about
Seriously?
is 10 million,
That's what I
is 10
said.
trillion.
That's what I said.
You are going
Mr. Waguma.
Yes, you are going to say you didn't say it and tell me what you The way when she was saying, I'm like,
I was interested in hearing.
so
Yes.
NGOs should shut up about the 10 trillion corruption in this country. NGOs should not talk about the people. NGOs should not talk about the people who get picked and we don't know where they are. How do you ask? We don't know where they are. Habeas corpus was in court today.
I am
Even
surprised
today.
you have put words in my mouth. But proceed.
You have an opportunity to.
Absolutely, like she's getting her minutes. That civil society is evil. It should not speak because the government is an angel. Really, I think civil society should be here, should play its role. In fact, the lack of voices mean that impunity is not controlled at all. And the highest levels of impunity manifest themselves during political contestation. And election is one of those. And we have seen it now. Going forward, what do we do?
Comrade Waguma, really, thank you. If there is anything every Ugandan must know, is that there is no small voice. Even that voice of that child who is learning how to speak is a voice that we must heed and learn. So I cannot say possibly that Ugandans must never be heard. They must, first of all, speak if they need to be heard. Two, I have seen, I've worked with NGOs, I've benefited, my community has benefited from NGOs. Some NGOs, as Farida says, they come with good intentions, or they put good intentions on the forefront, and then when they reach down there, they become quite useless. I remember there was an NGO that was giving out boreholes, digging shallow wells and what. And then these boreholes, this last election, the boreholes would come with a red top. That was prior. In fact, that was prior, or just shortly before 2021 elections, you see. Then we had the whole COVID spell, and everybody had to rush in for that kind of supply. So and then we had to come out and speak against it. The active politicians that were on the ground had to come out and speak against it. And people went and visited and found out that, okay, yes, so anyway, Rhino withdrew. The places where they did not withdraw, people went and painted over it whatever color they wanted, because you cannot possibly be one-sided. Which I think I encourage also civic educators or civil society to go and engage the ruling party. Try as much as you can. Do not isolate them, because when you isolate them, then they will look at you as an enemy, and you will not get them out of power. They are the ruling party, and they are defensively defending. The other thing is going forward, reforms. Special interest groups, if I may say, we had the law. And for some reason, for some really strange, we phased it out. Because some imaginary person says, oh, here, this is where we do vote rigging at Mulago Hospital. When we go to this barracks, there is rigging because of lack of education. I mean, civic education. Then also, the elites who belong to the opposition come out and speak useless things like those ones. You see, if my village friend is the one who is, spewing these utterances, I can agree with him or her. But an elite to come and say that this area for these special people has been cordoned off simply to give them a chance to exercise their right and also continue to save lives, that one is utter rubbish. I think that people shouldn't be selfish, especially in the opposition. If it is good for everybody, allow it to go. Even because the government, first of all, NRM is here, you can no longer do anything about it. Now, you need to come out and work genuinely with them, because they are the people in government. You want changes? Who are you going to talk to? You're going to invent your own president. Now we are going to start imagining these ones who ran away, I don't know wherever they're hiding, while documenting their journey. So the thing is, if we want reform, okay, we need reforms. in the Electoral Commission Act, we need reforms. First of all, at this level of local government, we need a law that clearly says that results should be announced, because there's absolutely no reason why a councillor should not be announced on that same day, you see. And you know, we can deal with gazetting later, but announcing that person. So we need to also separate a few things. I think we need to investigate whether or not parliamentary elections should take place on the same day as presidential elections. If we are going to fully understand this issue of voter turnout, because the people who came out to vote for the presidential candidates are simply not the ones that came out to vote for the members of parliament. So what should we think? But until we separate those two entities on polling day, we may not exactly come out with a clear answer. So ultimately, yes, we need reforms in these areas. We request, my sister has already called out to the president-elect that now please come out passionately. That same passion that you spoke with about that 2.7 million people that did not come out, please let that same passion be applied in this. And then when we apply, we get answers. Ugandans, we know how to investigate. We know how to get answers. We know how to, even legal reform, we know. Policy creation, we know. Until the animal called implementation. Why don't we implement? So we need, having investigated, having reformed the laws in various in their various categories, we need to implement. So the will to implement needs to be enhanced favorably, you know, in order for, you know, 2036, you know.
Daniel, you have 2 minutes.
2 minutes indeed. I just want to say the following. One, that is in line with what my sister Farida said about and we all actually talked about the efficiency of the Electoral Commission. Uganda is one of the very few countries in the world which announce, for instance, presidential results within 48 hours. And it is a debate, but it is agreed generally that save for probably Ghana, Uganda is one of the very few countries, maybe second to Ghana or even the very first one, in terms of proper electoral procedure follow-up. Procedure, we are good there. That does not mean, again, as per the Amambawa's petition, that the recommendations which were done and have never been implemented should not be implemented. Because all the things we are talking about, I can assure you, if we even implemented half of the recommendations that the Supreme Court made, I think we would be somewhere very far. Also, in the same light, we are talking about these NGOs. NGOs, diplomatic missions, when you go into the world of global geostrategic analysis, you realize that they have even created more harm in some jurisdictions than good. Bangladesh has got the highest number of non-government organizations, including UN bodies. Democratic Republic of Congo is the country that has got the highest remuneration from the UN agencies like MONUC and MONUSCO. But see where they are in terms of their democracy. Those two countries.
So
now, finally,
as you conclude the point,
yes. Finally, therefore, we have to be very careful. When government intervenes and regulates the non-government organizations, which sometimes compromises civic space, it is not that government, especially like NRM, does not like increased civic space. Look at the number of media, the houses, the media, be it print, be it electronic, be it whatever. You can see really that it is to prevent the very worst. Now, finally, I have this feeling that we need to package our messages, especially when it comes to electoral messages properly. We need to increase on patriotism and elements now of Pan-Africanism. And at the same time, I think if we must do what we must do in order to have our elections properly reflecting the arm's length wishes of the wananchi, we need inclusivity at all levels.
Totally 100%.
It is therefore inclusive to allow ourselves to go. And but I would like to thank you so much. Thank you for sparing your time to be here, and thank you for generously sharing your perspectives. I want to thank our viewers. Thank you so much for spending time with us, and thank you for the feedback we get, because we are getting quite some feedback on our social media handles, and we are very happy about that. Certainly the Ballot 2026 as a program will be undergoing changes because the, the elections are over. We will not stop talking about issues of national importance. We will continue using this very time frame. We will be discussing and sharing about the changes that may occur in the programming, because now we are at the end of the election. But we want to thank those citizens that are eligible and were able to cast their vote. Please, this is very, very important to continue the participation.